Welcome back to the channel, guys. I want to talk a little bit about the price of used diesel cars because they're getting a bit wild. Now, I obviously am obsessed with cars enough to have a YouTube channel, but I also have OCD. And well, when most people would wait till like 3 months before they were due to get a new car before they start looking, not me. I'm more like a year. And so my wife's Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid is due up from its lease to be handed back in about a year's time, and already I'm thinking about what car we can get next. And given our circumstances have changed a little bit and we've got a big dog and we're going to do a bit of more longer journeys, I'm really wanting to get a big load lugger. And so I've been looking again at used diesels, big SUVs, or at least medium-sized ones. So I'm looking mainly at premium SUVs, so Z Germans or Volvo. And I've been a bit shocked at how expensive cars that are between 5 and 8 years old with up to 70,000 miles on the clock actually are. We're talking 25 to 30 grand on some of these. I'm going, hang on a minute, that seems awfully expensive. So I started doing a bit of Googling and just trying to learn a little bit more about this and see if there's a bit more to this. And right enough, it would appear that diesel cars are not depreciating quite as fast as other powertrains like petrol, plug-in hybrids, electric. And in some cases, they're not really depreciating at all, or in fact, the price of them is going up a bit. Some cases, we're talking 5 to 18%, I was reading. So why is that? Well, I thought I'd explain some of the reasons why I think this could be, and ones that I think are probably a bit more well documented. But bottom line is supply and demand. Yep, it really plays a big factor here. So I'm going to go into this a little bit more with you. Just a short video, but if you do enjoy this one, please do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Costs you nothing, really helps the channel out. Otherwise, buckle up and let's get into it. So the obvious first point to say is that a lot of car manufacturers have stopped making diesel cars, loads of them. In fact, I would say it's a minority of car makers who are actually doing diesels now, and most of them are just shifting towards electrified powertrains. Whether that's a good long-term strategy or not, that remains to be seen. But for now, very few of them are actually still doing diesels. You'll get like premium German brands will do them, and there's a couple others, but most of them aren't. Like Toyota, Hyundai, Mini, Volvo, none of them are doing them, and that's just a few of them to name. But yeah, diesels are becoming less and less of a easy car to buy if you want a new one. And what does that mean? It means that if you do want a diesel car, and there's a big point to be made here about whether you just want one or you really need one, and we'll get into that, but if you do want to have a diesel, then there's more chance you're going to get pushed towards the used market. And therefore, if that pool is going to keep on shrinking, then yeah, supply and demand, car prices are going to go up. But it's really important to say that the Euro 6 diesels are particularly sought after now because, well, Euro 5, not ULEZ exempt, and therefore there's penalties to have those if you drive in certain places. And so particularly, and I'm looking at Euro 6, then yeah, a lot of people who are wanting a diesel are going to want a Euro 6. And so again, it's just a factor that's going to increase the demand. But you do still have a lot of people who are EV skeptics and just do not see the benefits or merits or the emission sort of saving, narrative that gets punted out about what they are for, and people that just believe that it's a load of bollocks. And there's arguments to be made on both sides all over the shop, but we're not going to go into that. The bottom line is some people are really skeptical about EVs and just don't want to adopt them at all unless they're absolutely forced to. It's not just that, the whole emissions thing, the fact that to buy them usually expensive, and unless you can get one through like a company car or salary sacrifice scheme, they are very expensive to buy new usually. But if you have one out of warranty, there is a much bigger risk of expensive repairs if things go wrong. I've just recently had one. And so people are still concerned about having used EVs. And so if they're wanting just a used car, and there's a lot of people who just want to drive used cars. I'm probably one of them. I've never bought a new car other than when we leased not this Santa Fe, my wife's Santa Fe. And so I always get a used car. And therefore, if you're a used car buyer and you don't want to take the risk on the EVs, then that's another reason why you're going to go back to internal combustion engines, and therefore you're going to be looking at petrol or diesel. But from a personal perspective, and I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people in this camp, There's just not that many EVs out there that, or plug-in hybrids for that matter, that offer really big boots. And a lot of people need a really big boot. And we do, because we've got a massive dog. And if we want to go on holiday somewhere, then it really helps to have that. But essentially, if you need a big boot, the chances are you're going on cross-country holidays where you need to pack a lot of stuff in. And so then you have a heavy car. And again, diesel cars are better for that. But the main thing is here is electric cars, which are getting thrust down everybody's throat just now, very few of them have boots over 600 litres. The Kia EV9, the Tesla Model Y, that's about the only ones I can think of. Very few EVs offer boots that are much more than 500 litres. And hey, I'm happy to be fact-checked on that, but I've really struggled to find many of them. And so if you really want a big boot, and I'm talking like a Volvo XC90 diesel's got like a 700 odd litre boot, you know, so there is a lot of really good load lugging diesel cars out there that you just don't get EVs that do that. And so that is another reason why, particularly internal combustion engine, but particularly diesels, because if you need a big boot, chances are you're going on big trips, and therefore diesel, the merits of driving diesels in terms of fuel economy way outstrip petrol. And so that is a much more appealing powertrain. And so it's another reason why people who do that kind of driving a lot are going to prefer a diesel. And have you ever tried to tow a caravan with an electric car? I haven't, but I know from other things I've read that they're absolutely terrible for that. And in fact, you could well see 100, 150 miles of range only before you're going to have to stop and charge it again, which could potentially mean a lot of stops if you're taking this on a long journey. So yeah, people are not going to want to have their caravan towed by an electrified powertrain. They're going to want a diesel because they're way better for torque and for pulling heavy loads. And a 6-cylinder one, it's an absolute dream. So the market, last time I checked, for people going caravan holidays hasn't dipped at all. And if anything, I would probably suggest that given the cost of living crisis and that people can't afford to go abroad anymore in a lot of cases, more people are probably going to go on caravan holidays. So it's another reason why the demand for diesel cars could be spiked. When we first got our plug-in hybrid and then I got my Tesla, I was like, I feel really smug about this. I feel like I've got a cheat code for how to have a 2-car garage for our family, because we've got 2 electrified cars, but we've got the backup of a petrol engine for long journeys. And that seemed in theory to make a lot of sense. But over time, I've realized that any time we go long journeys, that is out the window, because we are absolutely chowing through petrol whenever we go anywhere. And the minute the battery's dead, it's just basically a huge big lump you're loading that has really bad fuel economy. And so the more longer journeys we've done, the more that's annoyed me. So I personally think the best 2-car garage for me as a family man is to have a diesel for long journeys and load lugging and for loading all our stuff in for big holidays, and then having an electrified powertrain, i.e. my Tesla, as our kind of runaround that we can just plug in and charge, do all our commuting and daily driving for cheap. And that just seems to make much more sense and be less hassle to live with. Plus I don't need to plug 2 cars into one charge point, which is also sometimes annoying. But that's not to say I'm necessarily going to keep an electric car at all in the future. I'm still considering whether or not that's even going to be a thing. But I reckon there'll be a lot of people who see that value of having 1 diesel and 1 electric car. And so we're going to continue to have a diesel for a while. And the key thing is, you know, a lot of people are skeptical about having a diesel for emissions reasons, but also because they think that based on government, you know, potential changes, and maybe who knows what will happen with Euro 6 getting penalised next, and people are worried about having a diesel long term and what value it'll have in the future. Well, yeah, I get that, but given the situation with supply and demand that I've said here, I'm starting to think that maybe having a diesel might actually be quite a good investment. And so that's another reason why I think I'm keen to have one, because I have a feeling if we take the risk that the government aren't going to change anything fundamental about taxation and, you know, the Euro 6 side of things anytime soon, then if the market is going to remain to be there and the demand is going to keep rising because more people are going to get pushed to the used car market because there's not any more new supply coming in, or not much of it, then yeah, the valuation of diesel cars might hold really well. And so I'm willing to take that punt. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do give it a like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, leave me a comment with your thoughts on it, and if I've got something wrong, please let me know, or if I've missed something out. I haven't covered probably every point here, but tried to keep this short as well. So let's have a good chat with this one. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.